Welcome to the Syndercut podcast, the weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, he's reviewed the movie he was fired from on Letterboxd. It's Arturo Zurita!
Dude, I actually have an even better one today. I got this one a couple of weeks ago, and I want to show it off today. Dude, are any of you guys a part of the Criterion? Did you get yours? No. Part of the Criterion channel? Yeah. Want to make sure y'all can see it right there. They sent this bro. It's metal.
That's some good quality.
This is insane. Bro, you can go into any building in Chicago with this. Pretty much you just walk into every theater. You just go like, excuse me, I'm a Criterion channel member. And they'll be like, sorry, get out of here. What are you talking about? They sent out these cards for the Criterion channel. I don't know how many people, or at least how many of our viewers listen or watch it. But everybody knows that when Barnes & Noble has those crazy sales, everyone goes after them. They got this new thing that they've been giving out. I think it's for all the early members. So now I got another thing for the collection. The Criterion channel. Add it right there. By the end of the year, I hope to have this entire thing filled out.
So let us know if you got something for Art's wall. We're gonna start trying to fill that up. Guys, you have any Criterion DVDs? Blu-rays, anything like that?
I have one, but it's not mine. I stole it back. Yeah, she keeps asking for it. It's man, I'm blanking on what it is. One of the Coen brothers. Blood Simple. It's a beautiful packaging. Cool. And it's very interesting because I know some of the news that we're going to be talking about later. Right now, I know you're going to introduce Fernando, but the Netflix is even jumping on the Criterion game. So some interesting stuff. Things are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. As alluded to, we've got the producer extraordinaire hiding his head of hair. It's Fernando. Say what up, Fernando.
I'm sorry. I need to get a haircut. I've been super lazy. So I noticed I wear this hat like a lot on the podcast. But yeah. I do not want to show what's underneath here right now.
Hey, you're repping the Sundance stuff, you know? Yeah. Because Sundance is coming up. Dude, guys, boys, Sundance is less than 2 months away. How?
I don't believe I heard that they're announcing some of the films, some of the slate this week. Is that true?
Sundance begins tomorrow.
Early December, yeah.
All right, so by the time you're listening to this episode...
By the time you're listening to this, we'll be at Sundance. It's literally right around the corner. I am so excited for it, and you're right. I know Slam Dance just announced their introductions. And, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. It's the best time for movies.
Best time.
Well, in a little bit, we'll talk about Josh Trank, The Irishman, as well as awards season. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the Syndercut podcast, either the video podcast on youtube.com/SyndercutPod or the audio podcast available on most podcatchers. Also follow Syndercut on social media, whether that's Facebook, it's Twitter, or Instagram. We are at SyndercutPod. That's at SyndercutPod. That's short for podcast. All right, let's start the show. We start it every week here with what we are watching. What you been watching, buddy?
Finally did it. I caught up.
Yes!
All 7 episodes. Now, that said, I have not seen it 3 times like you have. Probably more. Now, I've only given it all a simple once through. Very good. Very rich in its lore. Again, I have to see, because I'm also reading I couldn't wait. I'm reading the comic alongside of it. I couldn't wait, right. And I started watching the show as well, caught up on the 7. But that 6th episode, which was the reason I said I got to start binging it, was wild.
Did I not tell you would enjoy that
Dude,
one?
We were talking about earlier. So how did you pitch it to me? You were talking about like his memories, and it's kind of...
a person ingests another person's memories and has to remember who they are.
So this is written by the man who made Lost, right? Who wrote
Yes.
Lost. And this episode felt like all of that into one. One, it doesn't matter who the person is. It's just the emotions that the actor or actress, in this case, who... Bro, how does it feel watching just Regina King act and going like, she's good? Knowing that any emotion they want to get across is going to get across. There is no... I love Euphoria. There's even some bits in Euphoria, because it's a young cast, where there's been debates on, like, did it go this way, did it go that? Even the actors were like, I did not think the scene interpreted that. That's not the case it is the case in Watchmen, but for other reasons that people are interpreting it.
Right. The emotions and the emotional arc of the characters are always super clear, whether that's through Lindelof's writing, which I think is superb here, or they've got such a good cast, whether that's Regina King, who absolutely nails every single scene she's in, is just like transfixing, whether that's Jean Smart, who is so fucking cool when she shows up in episode 3, whether that's Hong Chow,
bro,
who,
you tell me she was that dope.
Whole air of mystery mystery.
That was one thing. When you finally get to the episode when she's like, oh, you think I'm just this weird, which she does comes off, I'm just weird and I'm eccentric and I'm buying this place. And then what is it, episode 7, she goes like, oh, you ready to play?
Right.
I'm ready to tell you why I made this thing if you're ready to listen. And I was like, whoo! How many episodes is this supposed to be? Because you were telling me it's
9. And here's the thing that kind of breaks my heart. Apparently Lindelof hasn't committed to a second season.
Good.
HBO hasn't committed to a second season, but Lindelof is completely like he might be interested in handing off the show.
Oh, nah. I see it as a good thing if this is it. If this is it, that's great.
It could be just a miniseries.
Because that's the one thing, and we talked about this in the past. Alan Moore, what a great novel he wrote. Nothing beats the original. Nothing. No, like I'm talking as a person who just, when you're watching Breaking Bad. You remember Breaking Bad, and then you start watching it again. You're like, no, this really is one of the greatest shows of all time. That's the comic book Watchmen. We all know that Alan Moore specifically did not want. He hates anyone remaking his stuff. He believes it's for the medium of comics, and that's it. I know he's not the biggest fan of the movie. I know he's not the biggest fan of like when they came back and they rebrought the miniseries in comic form. But if anything, that does not mean that Zack Snyder didn't have his personal visual flair to it. Lindelof clearly was told, don't do it. Lindelof said, I'm going to do it. Yeah. I'm glad he did. But I really hope, again, what I'm trying to make the point here is that he keeps it as a mini-series. I am getting very sick and tired. So another one that was supposed to be a mini-series, one of our favorite ones from Amazon, Undone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
Or, yeah, it is Undone, right?
Yeah. I don't know if they've announced any more of that.
Yeah, dude, they've practically hinted at the season 2 there, and I'm just like,
really interesting.
Unless they pull it again, but the same thing here. It's happened. HBO's done it a couple times. Big Little Lies was a miniseries, right? There's been several miniseries that make their way to the letterbox, and letterboxes are going like, "There's a season 2." I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Undone was renewed for a second season.
Oh.
Interesting.
That's what I've been watching, Zach. I've been watching something else that I just came out of. You haven't seen it yet, but I know somebody else has.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get to that one. Just a little bit more on Watchmen before we move on. You mentioned that this is from Lost, Lost writer, co-showrunner Damon Lindelof, and we've talked in brief in the past about how we are both huge Lost fans. For me, I do think this is maybe the first show since Lost that has matched that show in the attention to detail in the world, in terms of lore building, in terms of making you dive deeper, in terms of making you look at like what's that book that person's reading and what does it mean that they're reading that book.
That was Lost.
I'm really happy to be in that mindset again. And I think it's very interesting the way that Lindelof has constructed this show, not really as a continuation of Watchmen, the story, but as something that's very much in the wake of Watchmen. It's dealing with what happened because of Watchmen, both in terms of its world and in terms of its like thematic impact. I think it has a similar bent in terms of the way it wants to subvert how we look at IP. And I'm really impressed by how they've taken this what could have been a very stale idea, like let's turn Watchmen into a TV series, and they've gone so bold in terms of including racial commentary and class commentary and all the just really interesting stuff that's been packed into this show. It's to me one of the most interesting, and maybe the most interesting show of 2019. Wow. But yeah, beyond that, you mentioned the idea of whether or not it'll be a continued series or a mini series, and I think for me, for the beginning of the show, when you do get that hint of that really fuller world, it was kind of upsetting to me to think about the idea that we only might get 9 episodes of this. But without getting into spoilers, I think the way that they've built to episode 7, which is where you and I are at now, it feels like it could come to
climactic,
a close pretty soon.
Exactly, and I only say a close because you don't want to risk I know you guys weren't the biggest fans of season 2 of
Big Little Lies.
Big Little Lies, and I just don't want them risking it, because right now I'll put it to you, The Boys. We like that show as well. Amazon's The Boys. But one of our biggest criticisms was like, y'all really expect me to believe that they're wearing capes? Like it still felt like they wasn't. Oh, they swear and they rape, but they're still wearing like nah. In Watchmen, they're dressed the way I expect a superhero within a real world to dress. The boys almost had it, and then they're like, nah, we still got to put them in costumes. And it was like, no one would walk around with shoulder pads. The way she dresses is so cool that Regina King has already come out and said, do not dress like me for Halloween.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, really interested in Watchmen. I'm sure we'll end up doing a Let Us Explain once that show ends in a couple of weeks.
Definitely.
But Fernando,
yep,
I'm excited to hear your thoughts. What have you been watching?
Where'd you go today, Fernando?
Just quickly before, I do want to say it's so interesting because I haven't seen Watchmen and I haven't seen any episodes. And what I'm probably gonna do is wait until the second to last episode comes out. And then binge everything and then watch the season finale live with everyone else.
Yeah.
But the thing you said, Zach, about it might be the most interesting TV show, and that's pretty high praise for a year that's also had so many good TV shows. Like we're talking about how this year is incredible for movies. But this year TV shows have also, and this is coming from someone I'm saying this with confidence because I barely watch TV shows, but this year I've seen way more series than I have in the past. So Watchmen is definitely something I'm gonna have to watch. But what I've been watching, just a couple short hours ago, I stepped out of the theater from experiencing Sam Mendes' 1917. Lucky enough to see it pretty early because it doesn't come out till December limited and then wide in January. So hope that your town gets it as soon as possible because that. It was the fastest 5 out of 5 Letterboxd rating I've given since Parasite. And it's funny because I was just thinking since the last time we recorded, I've seen Irishman, I've seen Waves. I saw Waves yesterday and Frozen 2, but 1917 just right up to my.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Deacon's consulted on Frozen 2 cinematography, if that helps at all. Talk about it, because as Zach said, there is a pre-1917 and a post-1917.
Yeah, I know people were saying that tweet went around with Joker, but no.
Yeah.
1917.
This one?
Easily
you were
takes the cake.
Completely blown away by 1917.
As we say, we said this with Parasite too, but that is the reason why we go watch movies, right? That is cinema, right?
With the accent.
Yeah, it's insane. It's that video of Guillermo where he's and I believe in cinema. That was literally me coming out of sitting in the theater. I was sweating. I was sweating. It's kind of cold in Florida right now. Even though I live further north in Florida, so I'm wearing this jacket. I had to take it off halfway through the movie because I was wait. No, it was one of my favorite theater experiences this year. If you get a chance, luckily we saw it in RPX, which is Regal's.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah, so that was the thing I was going to mention.
Form of IMAX.
Definitely break down a little bit of the story, and then more so why people need to see it on a big screen, because some people may not know the selling point of this movie.
Yeah, we're talking around this movie, but I mean the big selling point of this movie that a lot of people have been talking about is that it either is done in one take or it's made to look like it's done in one take. Actually, could you answer that for me? Is it like Victoria or is it like Birdman style of one take?
It's not Victoria, but I wouldn't even compare it to Victoria because Victoria is such a small scale story compared to this.
It's compared to what they do here. I also just got out of it as well.
I don't know if it's physically possible to get the kind of epic war story they're trying to tell in a single take the way Victoria does. But continue.
But no, go ahead, Art.
It uses magic trips like Birdman, but it has the claustrophobic warness of Son of Saul.
Yeah.
While at the same time pulling shots that this is what the argument for 1917 is going to be, and I've already seen it. The Copacabana scene in Goodfellas uses a one take for the actual story. Other one takes are just to show off, and I can definitely see, because this feels like The Revenant when it comes to. And now, the set piece.
Yes.
That said, I loved all of it. Show it off. Dude, it was fantastic.
It was insane. So basically the story is two corporals, and it takes place from the point of view of the British Army in World War I. They're given a very important mission to take a letter several miles
the
across
opposite side
German lines to another battalion who's ready to send 1,600 men into basically oncoming German forces who are ready for them when they think they're like sneaking up on them, and they send 2 guys, across miles because one of the guys' brother is in the other battalion. So obviously, it's something where he's like, all right, now I gotta go save my brother and all these men. But
that's pretty much the premise. I won't say anything more. And it's not that there's too much more. I wouldn't say that there's too much to spoil. And even if you did, it is the experience. Let's talk about some of these shots. Just a couple of them, because I know we want to do. Zach sees it in a couple of days, and I don't want to ruin too much for him because he knows nothing. Mm-hmm. But this is a movie that as you're watching it, you're going, how is he gonna? How did we?
Yeah.
How did the camera just get from point A to point B? You don't understand how it's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't.
And I know what 1970, like the marketing team was doing, like in front of a lot of movies, like before the trailers, they show like this featurette of sort of how they put it off, where like, Sam Mendes and Roger Deakins are there talking like, oh, we had to get the camera, and then once we go here, we like pass it to a guy on a truck, and then the guy on the truck puts it on a crane, and then the crane, we take it off. It's just like we're coming out, one of my friends was like, like whoever the boom operators were on this shit, like give them a raise.
Screwed. They would have been, yeah. Like, they would have kept getting in the way.
So like, it's crazy. Like this is a movie where you want to get the Blu-ray and see like all the behind the scenes.
All the special features.
The commentaries, because it's like literally like mind blowing how they pull some of this off.
We're going to talk a little bit more about awards season later on this episode, but before we get there, 1917 is one of the last movies left that hasn't had a wide release, hasn't really had a festival release even, so it remains somewhat of a mystery, and people are wondering, is this going to be an Oscars frontrunner? Is this even going to be nominated? Where do the both of you stand on terms of its impact come awards season?
Putting all my money on it, probably.
Really? This is your best picture frontrunner right away?
Andres said it was.
Yeah. To see what I think the Academy would lean towards, yes. If Parasite gets nominated, I just don't see them like picking a foreign winner just yet, especially in a year with a lot of
too many
big movies like this, or Once Upon a Time.
Irishman and Once Upon a Time. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's too many of these big movies that the Academy would go for.
Yeah. So I would pick this. And definitely cinematography, Deakins, hands down. So
that's what I would say. Yeah.
From memory, I can't think of anything that beats this.
Okay. So for me, I think it's definitely getting the nomination for Best Picture. I still think it's going to be Once Upon a Time's to lose. Of course, I would love Parasite to win. Who's competing in cinematography?
That's the thing. Like, obviously, I just
not who's getting nominated.
Oh, okay.
Who's competing with this? Why does sound have 2 categories? Why does acting have 4 categories? But the literal most important thing on the screen, the visual, only has 1. No, the camera operators, the lighting, the blocking, those are all of that gets put into 1 category. And we all know there's first AC, second ACs, the cinematographer, sometimes the cinematographer is separate to the director of photography, sometimes different to the cam operator. There's an entire camera department. There's only 1 award. This wins it in, I was going to say, it might win it in some, it wins it in all of them. I do think Monos and The Last Black Man in San Francisco are still the best shot movies of the year. Are those going to be able to find in there? I don't think so. This has it. Yes, is it showy sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it insane? Yes. It's a feat.
Art, I see that Trinity though over your shoulder, and
oh no, we
still only got 3 points on it.
It still only has 3 points on it. It may change in a little bit, Zach, but that depends on what else we talk about. 1917 though, somewhere over here. All right. Somewhere over here. But I'm glad. Fernando loved it. It was the fastest 5 he's given it, and easily one of the best looking movies of the year.
Yeah.
It's good to know. I'm still very excited to see it. As for what I've been watching, I caught up a little bit on some of the shorter offerings available on streaming, whether that's some of the Disney Channel Spark Shorts that we were talking about. Excuse me, not Disney Channel, Disney Plus. I thought Pearl was pretty good. I don't know if you caught Pearl.
I'm unable to yet.
What about the Ball of Yarn? That's a pretty solid one. I didn't like Smash and Grab as much. But then there's a short on Netflix, which is very interesting, called Ghosts of Sugarland. I don't know if either of you got a chance to catch this. No. They were pushing this for me a lot, so I'm wondering how many people are getting this like right on their timeline. It's a 20-minute documentary short talking about basically it's these friends in this Texan community talking about their friend who left to join ISIS. Oh. And they're not sure, like, what is he there? Is he an FBI informant? What led to this? It's just a very, like, frank and interesting documentary talking with these friends talking about what happened to this guy they know and how he made this transformation and, you know, what happens to a person basically when you to go from, you know, being kind of a more regular person to becoming that extremist. It's also got this really interesting kind of design to it in that the people involved don't want to show their faces, so they're all wearing masks, different Halloween or superhero masks, and they go through archival footage and put masks on top of the people so you can kind of connect who's who. It's got a really interesting style. I'd recommend it. It's a quick watch and a very, very interesting story.
From Netflix, Sundance. It was a Sundance. That's why it sounded familiar.
Yeah, it was an award winner out of Sundance this year, so we didn't catch it
I gotta catch that for sure.
It's available now on Netflix.
Dope. That sounds good.
I also caught up with Rumble in the Bronx, the Jackie Chan movie. I've never seen this one before. This is from 1995, so you know, not a new one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's really fun. I was reminded of how joyful it is to watch the Jackie Chan style of martial arts, which is so reliant on its environment and so utilitarian in the way that it will just grab any sort of prop or device available around him in order to utilize that in their style of fighting in a way that's both badass and hilarious. Like, I don't know if there's anything quite like it since the silent film era, and I was just reminded of that absence we have. We have some people who are really great martial arts stars, but the way he's able to balance that fighting ability with the humor, with the ingenuity and creativity, it's so fun to see. And I'm not as familiar with his back catalog as maybe some people are. I haven't seen stuff like Drunken Master, but I was glad to actually see Rumble in the Bronx for a first time because it's so good.
Have you ever seen the Every Frame of Painting video on Jackie Chan?
Yeah.
Classic, masterpiece. But I agree with you. Nowadays, you may have who is Shaw? Hobbs and Shaw. Statham will do like the using the rope or using everyday items, but you could tell that like he starts off the scene holding it. Jackie Chan acts like it's the first thing he makes it seem like
there's
he's improvising. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, just the way they choreograph those scenes is amazing. You talked about the choreography in 1917, and you look at a movie like Rumble in the Bronx, and the way that certain action scenes are choreographed, that there is no awards for that kind of stuff, or at least not in the mainstream awards, is a little bit tragic. Because great choreography makes a lot of those movies. You look at something like John Wick, which I know you loved earlier this year, and it's so reliant on the precision of those movements.
We've mentioned this so many times. That was the first thing Alina came out and said, "Is it blocking? Is that what it's called?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "More people need to know that that's a craft." And I was like, "Yeah, it really is." Yeah. And again, I think we had mentioned multiple times when it comes to like adding different categories. We've always mentioned CGI artists, a motion capture artists, CGI artists in general. When it comes to stunt work, with everything that they do, but also what you were just mentioning right now, like I was mentioning, how is it that there's one category for when it comes? It goes to directing, the blocking they put it there, even though there are coordinators that aren't directors that are in there and they're doing it as well. Unsung heroes, I guess.
Yeah, so that's mostly what I've been watching. I also got a chance to rewatch the film we're going to talk about in a little bit, but let us know what you've been watching in the comments on YouTube or by shooting us an email. The address for that is intercutpod@gmail.com. We're going to move on to our yay or nay, where we break down the latest happenings in entertainment, starting with Martin Scorsese's 3.5-hour epic. The Irishman was finally released onto Netflix over the Thanksgiving holiday, putting it into living rooms across the globe, especially around America. And as it reached audiences everywhere reacted on Twitter, calling the film too long and not as good as Avengers Endgame. Art, yay or nay, what was your reaction to the general film Twitter reaction to The Irishman?
The biggest thing that I had seen, I mean, I can't tell anyone that it's better than Endgame or whatever. It is funny that the two biggest movies of the year, if you want to call it that, one of them definitely was. They're both over 3 hours long.
Two of the biggest movies of the year.
Right? For different reasons.
I can't remember another year where two high-profile movies that were as watched as these two were past 3 hours.
3 hours. And a lot of the other movies that we have are also pushing that boundary. Yeah. Dude, Waves is 2.5. Like, well over 2.5. There's a lot of these movies that are
over 3. Yeah.
Right.
And that's even without the actual director's cut that we're supposed to get. So, yeah, it is a crazy year. I mean, one, I'm all for this year. But it's also a year where it's all those movies that supposedly can't be made are being made like crazy. What's the rule? 90 minutes because they need to fit more screenings in. Mm-hmm. The highest grossing movie of all time is 3 hours and change. Mm-hmm. This movie coming out in theaters, I think the biggest reaction that I had to it was the one post, the one that went viral about seeing it as a miniseries and kind of doing the P-run thing of telling you at this point you can pause it and it kind of feels like a complete thing. And then people going, no.
Yeah, the reaction to... or the policing of, rather, I should say.
The irony.
How you watch The Irishman.
The irony.
Was crazy to me. And I should mention, like, despite my rambly intro, I do think, like, the vast majority of film Twitter responded really positively to the movie. You saw it was... In fact, it was maybe too positively in that they were... diminishing people who would try to, as you mentioned, break up The Irishman. Yeah. There was that somewhat viral post that talked about how to turn it into 4 episodes of the miniseries.
Exactly. And people went insane for it.
There's plenty of people who are not going to sit down and watch a 3.5-hour movie. And I saw a lot of people making the false equivalence of like, oh, I didn't see you complaining about Avengers Endgame. Like, plenty of people complained about the runtime of Avengers Endgame.
I love that. Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh. You can't just say...
I like getting a longer movie every now and then. Like, I see the benefit and appeal of having that much runway in a film, but I'm not gonna force people to sit in a chair for 3.5 hours and get a UTI.
Was that you who said it? I'm gonna watch The Irishman the way Martin intended it with a UTI. Dude, that was so. Isn't it funny that we'd been, all the Martin Scorsese talk leading up to it, which first and foremost to talk all that smack, which at a certain point he's just straight up said, yes, I am talking smack. I got a movie to promote.
Let me explain.
Y'all don't want to release it in theaters. I'm gonna tell you how it is. The theater system is corrupt, is what he said. To say all that and then come up to the plate and deliver this. I've seen it almost 3 times already. I've seen it 2 times in total. Wow. It's a great movie. When people say it's too long, I was like, okay, sure. There's bound to be something that isn't too long for you, so it really is all a matter of stuff. Also, who cares? Do you remember when y'all complained about Martin Scorsese? Why doesn't he just shut up about his opinion? Why don't y'all shut? It's so funny. It will always happen. Just give it 2 weeks, and the people on one stance will just flip it over to the other. Let Martin say his thoughts. What do you mean you can't watch a movie? It's like, why does one matter over the other? Who cares what one person says about what movies you watch? But also, we kind of brush on the speed thing. It kind of reminds me of Netflix and the speed.
Oh, yeah.
It's this idea of
playback speed thing allowing you to watch movies twice as fast or whatever.
And now you got to see it like in a certain way. And I saw the argument of people saying, and let me put it first and foremost, I know all 3 of us did this. We saw it in theaters, so shut up. I'm not gonna have it. I'm not gonna have it. I'm gonna timestamp this right here for whoever needs it. Look, we sat through the theaters, 3 hours, 26 minutes, and as Alina said, we got the matinee. We went there with elderly people. They came out, no de-aging for them. They were done. They came in with canes they weren't using. They were using them on the way out. We did our due diligence, and I loved the movie. That said, why do you care how people watch their films? And there's this there's this idea of, well, that's the way the director intended. How many bad movies have you seen, Zach?
Quite a few.
Do you think the director intended it to? I don't give a damn what the director intended. Yes, watch the movie if you can, in its entirety. If you watch it in parts, who cares?
Right. I think it's more important that people who are interested
engage
in
with it.
art,
Yes.
Engage with it and approach it in a way that they can engage with it.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of people, they 3.5 hour movies, like I'm gonna fall asleep halfway through. It's like, so what did you think of The Irishman? I like the first half. Like, is that better for you?
And there's those discussions, but I like how, again, we talk about movies. We live in movies. We go to the theaters. Some people have 9 to 5s, then they have kids, and you're upset that they didn't watch 3 hours and 20. They don't care.
Right. It's the treating of everybody like they're these film critics. Not everybody's a film critic. Some people are looking for a piece of entertainment.
The next time somebody tells you that, just tell them to log their 25th movie into Letterboxd, because that's usually the case here. It's just someone arguing with you about a movie for no apparent reason whatsoever. That said, the Anna Paquin line, I want to talk about in the most positive light we can possibly give it. Now, you had said that most people should have already seen it. It's been out. It is on Netflix. In case you need the spoiler warning, in case you're still on episode 1 of The Irishman, if you've cut down into a miniseries, I wanted to have this discussion. I don't know if you had a segue to it, so I don't want to jump ahead.
I don't really have a full segue other than to say that another thing that's been frequently discussed is the amount of dialogue that Anna Paquin has. And, I think the reason that people are bringing this up specifically is that Anna Paquin is a actress of renown. Is she an Oscar nominee? I want to say that she is.
Was it The Age of 12?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Wild. And the Emmys, I think.
She's a really good actress, and the fact that she, I don't think it's a spoiler, really a big spoiler at least, to say that she has very few lines of dialogue in The Irishman. She plays a character who appears first as a younger person, and that younger person also doesn't have a lot of lines of dialogue, but has some. And there's been a discussion about whether or not that's fair or right or sexist art. Where did you lie on the whole amount of dialogue debate?
Interesting to bring up that another movie also had an actress with very little
dialogue. Another 3-hour plus movie.
By a very prolific director, looking and reflecting back on his career and the things that he likes the most. That happened Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and all that Tarantino said when it came to Sharon Tate's portrayal by Miss Margot Robbie was, I reject your hypothesis. Scorsese has pretty much said the same thing, but Anna Paquin herself came out, which I always say this. I know some people were criticizing in Joker because of Zazie Beetz, and someone else also only got a very few lines that we thought was going to get more, Brian Tyrese Henry, and saying that, they were only used for whatever alternative. I was like, well, I don't think those actors were duped. I think they saw merit in the script. Anna Paquin has had to come out because people are saying, she was forced to do this. They forced her on the same one line. She's like, no one forced me to do anything. Right. And then she literally quotes herself in the videos that she's been in. I would have played a tree for Marty.
Yeah.
But then Marty, De Niro, and myself have to put it to you this way. The lines that she actually gets in the movies are so profound. The problem isn't the line she gets in the movie. The problem is y'all don't know how to read film. I hate to sound that way. I rarely sound like this.
Why are you so pretentious, Art?
No, dude. There is. When I first heard it, I was like, that's it? And then it really sat with me. Full spoilers here. This is... years have passed, decades have passed. And this is the running time of the movie, of course. Decades have passed within the movie's length, and at that point, the daughter, who saw her dad beat up somebody, who saw her who knows that that's her dad on the news who's killing all of these people, grows up and has never questioned him until she's old enough and sees again yet somebody else on the news and sees her dad's reacting, but this time it's someone she cared about. It wasn't the Buffalino guy who tried being... No. It wasn't any of his other friends. It was the one who she actually deemed like an uncle. And she knows who did it. And her only line after the 3 hours in the movie is her asking, why? And then he goes, what? She asks, why one more time? He goes, why what? Why haven't you called his wife? If you can't see the performance in those two lines of a daughter who's been trying to tell her father something, and that's the first time she has the balls to... Why do people watch movies and forget the fact that this is a serial killer who is her father? Mm-hmm. And it takes her that entire time for her to finally get the balls to just question him. Why? People are mad because she didn't... Why have you killed that? Like, she ain't gonna go on in a whole speech. This is the daughter of a serial killer. You said, you see her younger as well. And as she's younger, she doesn't say much. All of a sudden, she was supposed to be Anna Paquin and give her lines from X-Men or something. Give her lines from her Oscar win. No. What she gave was that subtle why. Finally coming up to her dad. And then when her dad finally asks, why what? She just retweets. She retreats. Yeah. But it sticks and it stays with him. Yeah, retweets. Yeah. I loved it, dude. Yeah. And the more times that I've seen that scene and you sit with the movie, and again, why Scorsese says, don't make it a miniseries. Watch it all at once. Watch the flash of time before your eyes. Yes, it's 3 hours and 26 minutes. That's the fourth character in this movie. It's time. Yeah. That's what he was going for. And when you see that and the little girl becoming Anna Paquin, and again, if it was a side character, no issue. You know, if it wasn't an Oscar-nominated actress, there's no problem.
Yeah.
Right. But you said sometimes an artist, say a Kanye West, uses a what's his name? Elton John.
Elton John.
Because that's exactly what the song needs. It needs that little flavor, and sometimes what the movie needs is that one line.
Right. I believe the fact that we know Anna Paquin and we see her and we recognize, oh, that's an important person because she's a celebrity. Like, this person is important in the context of the movie.
Respect
adds
to
to
them.
the weight when she doesn't have anything to really say. You know, she gives that judgmental look and that disappointed glare, and you that absence of dialogue leaves you with the same feeling that he's supposed to be feeling in those moments. You know, the main thing that this controversy, if that's what you want to call it, makes me think of the same way that the Margot Robbie thing, when people were talking about the amount of dialogue she has, is that people are misinterpreting how to read film.
The movie,
this is still a visual medium.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, just because they don't necessarily have a lot of dialogue doesn't mean they're not doing a lot on screen and that their presence doesn't matter. You know, just to like count the amount of words they say is so contrary to the way that we experience film and that the way that many of the best performances that we get on film are delivered. You know, I think a lot of times you say more by saying less. And I can't imagine how much worse this movie would have been if they gave Anna Paquin a monologue about how her character was feeling just at the end, you know?
That would have made no sense. And like you said, we're talking... Ryan Gosling would have no roles if it came to him having to always speak. The ending of The Irishman. What'd y'all think of, like, you know, if you had a problem with Anna Paquin, did you see how he ended the movie? Marty went on record saying, did you see the ending to my movie? No studio would have let that happen. No studio would have let me end it like that. I had to go with Netflix.
Fernando, did you have any thoughts on the way that The Irishman was unleashed into the world?
Yeah, I mean, with the Anna Paquin thing, it's like, some people really don't know how to interpret the film that way, and also, we're like talking like there's so many years where films didn't even have dialogue. They didn't have the technology.
Charlie Chaplin didn't speak.
For people to talk, you know? And yeah, there's been like Oscar nominees. Like, I think the shortest like performance that's gotten Oscar nominated is like a minute or something like that. And it's like Anna Paquin could easily get nominated for that role like in another year. She's so good. Like, just her face, like the glare she gives.
There's a lot of,
It's, I definitely don't think it's something that people should be upset about. And because like she knows, she read the script, she knows what she's getting into. And then when
we get the defense, we get why people are defensive about it.
I just think it's targeted at the wrong thing. You know, there's definitely other situations where that argument could be used, but I don't think it's valid with The Irishman, definitely. And then in regards to how people watch it, like that doesn't really matter. Obviously, Marty, there was like this article that came out where Marty was like, maybe don't watch it on your phone, maybe on like a really big iPad, at the minimum. But yeah, it's like if you can watch it in the theater, then yeah. But it's on Netflix. Yeah, I mean, you can watch it wherever.
Yeah. He did. He said that.
Yeah.
Do it the way that you best ingest the art, however that works for you.
Yeah.
Enjoy movies the way you enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Enjoy them.
The boy Trank, Josh Trank, recently fired from Fantastic Four, Fanforstic, however you want to pronounce it, fame. Fired from Star Wars movie fame. Returned to social media in a few different ways over the Thanksgiving holiday. He went onto Letterboxd to give the Fantastic Four movie he was fired from a 2-star review, calling it all right. But ultimately, that's not really the thing that a lot of people were talking about, as he went onto Twitter and launched various tirades against Marvel and superhero movies and people who claimed they know more about movies or The Irishman than him. Art, yay or nay, are you happy that Josh Trank is back in public?
No. You're
not enjoying this?
I defended his stupid ass when all that went down. I went, no, I love man. Chronicle.
I love Chronicle.
That was like years ago.
Right there.
Remember when he said he banned Max Landis from the set? That was a good look.
Right.
I didn't want to believe it. Do you want to know the only reason I'm not as upset with him? Because someone else was dumber on social media. But we'll talk about Goldlink another day. This man is so dumb. He was arguing with people, telling them, I know more than you do. I'm a director. You loser. Why are you responding to me? Honey, if you're a director, then you should not be responding to people, especially if you're going to play the I'm better than you card. You are not better if you're responding to nobodies on Twitter. This man had Star Wars.
He fell into the trap of reading his mentions, which I don't know if anybody at that level should do. I do it, but I don't really
He started saying, wah, 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 wah. Like, those were his arguments. It was unbelievable. At first, I was with it. I was like, he's making a comeback to a little social media. Okay,
it
man.
did have the feel of him getting progressively drunker, which I don't know.
That definitely came off, and that was the biggest worrying part. Because at first I was like, it's a funny joke. You're reviewing your own movie, 2 stars. He keeps throwing the, there's a version out there. But I'm not Zack Snyder. So you'll never see Release the Trunk. I was like, homie, hey, chill. I don't know about that. The one thing that always stuck with me was Matthew Vaughn was very highly rumored as being the person who came back to the Fanforstic and reshot it. As we know, the infamous wig that Mara wears being something that came after the reshoots were happening. And I really respect Vaughn, and Vaughn never speaking crap or saying anything, but coming in to do the work always made me go, there is a very high possibility everything they said about this guy is true. And this... I'm not going to say it solidifies it, but I am very disappointed.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, Fernando, did you get to read some of the comments that he had on Twitter?
I did see them. I'm looking through them now. I think he deleted most of them.
Oh,
yeah, a lot of them are.
I think all of them did pretty much.
I just wonder how this is going to affect his upcoming film Fonzo with Tom Hardy. if I don't know what.
He says it's going to debut in festivals in 2020. So
Sundance Boys.
And now we're going to have a Q&A with director Josh Trank. Everybody.
He says no to everyone.
Oh, my gosh.
Josh Trank couldn't be here for the Q&A, so Matthew Vaughn.
You mentioned briefly Release the Snyder Cut. We got maybe an update to the Release the Snyder Cut Chronicle over the past couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I believe it was the 5th anniversary of the movie or something like that.
There is no way. Already?
Maybe I'm wrong. But
2016. It came out in 2016, so it's been at least 3 years. I want to say
So maybe it was
Nice.
just a
17?
an
I don't know.
anniversary of some kind.
Yeah.
But I know that it was a coordinated effort to get Release the Snyder Cut trending, and after Release the SYNDER cut was briefly trending, they got more Release the Snyder Cuts trending, including Gal Gadot tweeted it out, Ben Affleck tweeted it out, Zack Snyder was retweeting all these,
Jason
That's
Momoa.
big.
which led people
That's
to
big.
believe maybe this is for real. Maybe there's something actually will happen if the people this close to it are hinting at it. And then we got a little bit of an update from WB
That's
where apparently, Fernando, do you remember the phrase that was used?
I don't. I think it was like it's currently not in our plans to release it or something. Something like
no
that.
way this is
Yeah,
happening,
basically like
basically.
yeah, this ain't happening.
They called it a pipe dream.
Pipe
to
dream.
which
There
then
we
That's
go.
what it was.
DC Snyder fans wanted to get pipe dream trending. So all of them started calling the project, oh yes, a pipe dream. Look at this beautiful pipe. Because Snyder started releasing stills that never got released. And they were like, what a gorgeous pipe dream. The release is bad. I'm going to just, look. Do you remember Superman 2 got a director's cut?
Yeah.
Y'all ever catch it? Y'all ever see it?
Yeah,
Because he was fired. Donner was fired halfway through filming that. And he was like, nah, I have my director's cut. But someone else finished the movie. Now I'm going to release my director's cut anyway. But you can shoot some scenes. Don't matter. Put the storyboards in there. That is an actual cut that exists.
Yeah.
Superman 2, the Donner cut, with just unfinished shots. That's what y'all want the Snyder cut to be. Because that's what it has to be.
Yeah.
He
There's
physically did not finish filming.
Yeah.
Unless he's brought the crew back in. Since I know his wife was the producer. Which, hey, I don't know. It's Snyder. I don't know half the stuff he does, right? Then maybe it's finished. But other than that, there's definitely a variation.
Yeah.
There's a variation.
For sure.
We saw it in the trailers. They changed color correcting. There was some music already done. Junkie said he finished the score. The other people claim they've seen the stuff. Are you too excited for it at all? When it drops, how fast are you watching it?
Yeah. It's interesting because I remember early on, like one of the first articles I wrote for the website, www.theatzshow.com, was about petitions, right? And there was like someone early, like last year, made a petition like, oh, let's release the Snyder Cut. And they took it to Comic-Con and put billboards up and stuff. And I was like, there might not even be a cut. Like,
Cut.
Right.
but now
Yeah.
it's pretty like confirmed there is one. But yeah, it's not like finished. It's like all rough visual effects. It's going to be green screen. Should it come out? Like, I guess, but I just be like, it'd be
Release-
funny if it's like not even an improvement or it's worse.
Bruh, watch it be a masterpiece. Watch us all have to
maybe-
rechange our decade list.
Maybe the most fun I've had watching a superhero movie in the past, 15 years or so, was when that unfinished copy of Wolverine came out.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, dude, talk about it. Some people don't know about this.
So a copy of, what was this, just
Wolverine
right?
Origins.
The
Wolverine
origins.
Origins,
The one with
I believe
Deadpool.
directed by Gavin Hood, was released before all the VFX were done, which led to some pretty amazing scenes.
Incredible.
Of Wolverine ducking out of the way of like a little prop biplane that was clearly not done.
It's the entire movie.
Or Deadpool falling off a reactor, and it's just this like stick figure thing.
That's how movies are made.
It was great.
For the youngins out
if
there.
Release the Snyder Cut is half that good, I am going to
Right?
be there day one.
How would you not? Imagine the Mummy trailer when that was dropped a little too early with all the just yelling
Yes.
effects.
Yes.
But the whole movie. That'd be great.
I would love it.
That'd
I
be
would love it.
fantastic.
That's the only way you would actually get me interested in it.
Fernando,
if it
where
was
do I sign?
unfinished.
Where do you sign? There's probably a change, like multiple change.com
Change.org.
petitions.
All right, so that's about it for Yay or Nay. We've got some other news to hit in our topic of the week, but meanwhile, be an inner cutie and send us a question by leaving it in the comments on YouTube or by hitting us up on social media at IntercutPod. You can also email us, intercutpod@gmail.com. Love to hear from you, and let us know what you want us to talk about on the show. We always like getting your contributions here. So we're going to start off with topic of the week, which is an awards season update because as we get closer and closer to the Academy Awards, the picture of what may or may not be nominated is getting clearer. We're recording on a Monday, the day that the Gotham Award winners were announced. The Gotham Awards are one of the first awards to announce their winners and kind of act as sort of a precursor. Sometimes they can help launch a campaign. Running down the list here, Best Documentary went to American Factory.
Ooh.
Best Screenplay went to Marriage Story. Audience Award went to Marriage Story. Breakthrough Director went to The Mustang. Breakthrough Series went to When They See Us. Best Actor, Adam Driver in Marriage Story. Best Actress, Awkwafina in The Farewell. And Best Feature, Marriage Story. So a big night for Marriage Story.
Huge.
Coming off of not as big of a night when the Independent Spirit Award nominations were announced. Although Marriage Story ended up picking up the Best Ensemble award, that makes it ineligible for the Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress nominations. So that's why you don't see Best Adam Driver or Scarlett Johansson among the Indie Spirit Award nominees. The leader in Indie Spirit Award nominations is a three-way tie between Lighthouse, Honey Boy, and Uncut Gems. Although Honey Boy did not make the cut for Best Feature. So Art, just off of that point, what are your takeaways from some of these early precursor awards as we get closer to the Oscars? What movies do you think have their stock going up in terms of more likely to end up with a couple nominations when the Oscars announce? What movies are stock down? What do you still have faith in?
Well, I'm glad to see When They See Us get a win. We've been talking about how because the Gotham Awards are streamed, if anything, but the last big one would be what do we say? The Golden Globes.
They'll likely continue on to the Golden Globes and
to have that moment there. Really quick, I love seeing Undone, Tuca Birdie, Russian Doll, Rami, but Pen 15. You've been talking a lot about.
Pen 15 won Breakthrough Series short format at the Gotham Awards. So it's a
I don't
fun
want
show on Hulu.
Yeah, we both recommend it. I don't want to say too much about Waves with the win that they were able to get, other than it being very surprising. Taylor Russell, shout out to her. But I will say the Farewell one, I think, does bump it up a little bit more. I think that may mean she gets a nomination for an Oscar?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Not that she'd win.
It definitely puts her closer to getting that nomination. She, I believe, was also nominated at the, or was she not nominated at the Indie Spirit Awards? No, she wasn't, but Zhao Zhushen was nominated
for supporting.
So someone might, especially when you consider the fact that I still think it's definitely going to get a big nomination. I think we're still going that it's foreign, if that's what the Oscars are going to play by the rules as.
I don't think it's going to be foreign at the Oscars. I think it's
you don't think
foreign
so?
at the Globes.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Do you think it's going to pick up anything else, even a screenplay?
I think screenplay is likely where The Farewell ends up. It seems like one of those movies that's maybe a little bit too small. I find that screenplay often awards some of the better movies that maybe just aren't showy enough to make it into the best feature category. But looking at some of these early reactions, you know, I think this bodes well, obviously, for Marriage Story. That it's starting to
very big.
sweep even
Everything.
early. I think it's going to be a major contender in a lot of categories. And as I've said many times on the show, you know, I think one of the main keys for being a contender for the Oscars is you getting nominations across the board rather than just in one or two categories.
Agreed. So in that case, do you think Clemency is going to get anything? That's the only one that I'm seeing here that has continued to just stick a little bit there. But you and I have a hilarious story, and where we have missed about 5 screenings for Clemency.
Yeah.
So if this ends up getting the big award, the irony that the movie gods have against us.
I think that Clemency ultimately might be a little bit too small. It might be one of those movies that peaks at the Indie Spirit Awards. You know, you look at some of the movies that are nominated at the Indie Spirit Awards. Last Black Man in San Francisco got 3 nominations.
That'd be nice.
Clemency got nominated for 3 as well. Another movie, Give Me Liberty, got nominated for 4.
That I'm surprised.
Some of these smaller movies, I feel like this is kind of where their awards run will end.
Yeah.
But
Loose.
it's nice that they do get that nomination.
But that's crazy because I saw that movie at Sundance. So many walkouts, and then by the end of it, something happens in that movie that I can guarantee you nobody knows that they do that technique in the movie. It happens out of nowhere. I don't think you guys even know. It's so out of nowhere. It's wild. So to see that got some nominations, I was like, yo, shout out to your team. Like, I have not heard of you since Sundance, but that's pretty dope. Honey Boy.
Yeah,
Racking
so
up steam.
Honey Boy has been performing pretty well at the box office. I feel like it's been getting some traction online. A lot of people are talking about it. Shia LaBeouf is doing the rounds in terms of, the variety actors on actors and doing all sorts of interviews on late night and stuff. So it seems like they're really going for some awards here. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's ultimately going to stick around in a lot of categories. I feel like it's kind of around the same level as The Farewell, where it's maybe gunning for a screenplay and maybe supporting actor for Shia.
Yeah,
I agree. Same thing.
I agree.
And I believe Shia was nominated as supporting in, or was he not nominated at the Gothams?
Yeah, he
Noah
was.
Jupe was.
He got a cinematography nomination.
Both him and Noah were supporting.
Did he
Oh,
get
yeah,
one?
you're right.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
I think it's picking up a pretty good amount of steam, especially since they have like free marketing with like pretty big artists like Brockhampton who like love them.
Yeah.
Right.
So all their fans are probably gonna go watch it. And
Although I don't know if that's necessarily the type of marketing that's going to convince an Academy voter.
yeah, for sure.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
so
It's interesting.
a movie that we like a lot, and I actually don't know Fernando's fuller reaction to it, Waves, is one that really I think could have used some love at the Gothams or the Indie Spirits to help push it into the Oscars discussion. And it did win Best Breakthrough Actor at the Gothams, but its only Indie Spirit Award nomination was also for Taylor Russell. I could see her maybe getting a Best Supporting Actress campaign, but I'm wondering if this is sort of all that Waves is going to do, if Waves maybe is a little too polarizing to ultimately play a bigger role in award season.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially consider. Well, no, say your thoughts. We have not heard your thoughts.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I saw it yesterday too, and I actually really liked it. But I have seen a lot of polarizing things, even though like the initial reactions were mainly positive. I have seen some people not like it as much as I anticipated. But
Old people.
It's another point to how good this year was, because as I was watching this, I was like, Sterling K. Brown is insane in this, and he's not
Right?
gonna get
So
anything.
In Frozen 2,
Calvin
it's-
Harris is so good in this, and he's not gonna get
He's
anything.
fantastic.
It's crazy that Calvin Harrison can have Waves and Loose in a
Loose in
year
the
and
same year.
probably will get no recognition for either of those movies.
And he technically, remember from the interviews, the Q&As that we got, he helped write Waves.
Yeah, he was very instrumental in the process of writing and conceiving what Waves should be. So, that he's so integral to that movie and is so good in that movie.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a supporting actor campaign for him or for Sterling K. Brown. But also, it's without getting too spoilery, it's kind of an odd movie structurally, and I wonder if
It
that
is.
hurts particularly
In
its
the music,
actors.
yeah.
Because I don't know what campaigns you would necessarily run with what actors.
Yeah.
It's a shame though, because I think the movie's very good, and I think if it maybe got a couple other nominations, like a screenplay nomination or cinematography, just talking about some of the films that were best shot this year, Waves is a beautiful looking film.
It is.
If it got some of that love, maybe it would be seen by more audiences. But
Yeah. It's been out. I mean, it's been limited for a bit, and I just don't see it gaining that much
Yeah.
traction.
It's doing
That's a
pretty bad.
high-flying bird. Looking at the Indie Spirit Awards, now jumping over there. Wow. Look at that. See You Yesterday.
Yeah.
And, right? See You
Yeah.
Yesterday has a couple alongside Clemency, but also I lost my place here. Just a little
See,
bit.
yesterday's
High-flying
the
bird.
Netflix one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we dug that one.
We
caught
dug that one,
back when
yeah.
it was at Tribeca.
Tribeca, yeah. But to see that high-flying bird,
Yeah.
and then also a couple more over here for Clemency, it makes me think it's the wild card. If we want to talk about baseball terms, the wild card. All these teams fighting for just the ability
Yeah.
to be there, just for the nomination. I'm very curious. High Flying Bird, Clemency, and what did I just say? See You. I don't think it's going to be See You Yesterday.
No.
But it is interesting to See You Yesterday over here. But Clemency and High Flying Bird seem to be snatching up a little here and there, here and there, here and there. Zach, did you see Best First Screenplay?
Let me scroll over to that.
Jocelyn DeVore, Don Liu.
Oh,
Greener
right.
Grass.
Our girls from Greener Grass got the Indie Spirit Award nomination.
Wild. That's dope. It's probably going to go to Blow the Man Down because I know you really like that one from Tribeca. But no, that's good to see. Again, another one for Give Me Liberty. Best Male Lead, also Give Me Liberty. Loose, The Mustang. I'm curious, since you guys saw it all the way back at Sundance, that was a pick that you guys were like, we definitely want to catch this at Sundance. I think you guys caught it, right?
I missed it.
I didn't. Fernando
I missed it. I slept.
Oh, you missed it.
Overslept, but I did see it. I have seen it, yeah.
Oh, you've seen it since then? Okay.
I was wondering what your thoughts were on the general absence of your boy Ari Aster. It got a Best Cinematography nomination, but otherwise we're not really seeing much Midsommar. To me, I wonder if like that movie almost became too big for the Indie Spirit Awards, but...
Really? No, because it got the Gotham one. He's got a couple on the Gotham.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and if he also gets one for cinematography, I mean, if we're really talking indie, none of these movies are that. I mean, some are.
Yeah.
Marriage Story isn't that indie. Uncut Gems has the express written consent by the NBA. That's not really that indie. High Flying Bird, I guess, because it was shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
But it's still what's his name deciding to shoot on an iPhone with expensive lenses. I'm gonna be honest with you. Last Black Man in San Francisco. Barely giving it to See You Yesterday. I'd give it to The Farewell. I'm missing one, and it's massive. I said Last Black Man and said, simple. Honey Boy. Have you seen Alma's Twitter?
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. If you haven't, go to her Twitter. Go to the director of Honey Boy's Twitter. It doesn't get more independent than that.
Giving out tickets.
Yes.
It doesn't. She gave out tickets. She said, "You ain't got no damn excuse. Go watch the movie." That's independent cinema. Okay, we don't get to that discussion because we just want to decide what cinema in general is. When y'all want to have the independent discussion cinema, that ain't even Sundance, and I love Sundance, but it ain't even Sundance. Hustlers even got a nomination if we're talking about indies. I've never seen the indies as being an indie stuff.
And it's also a little weird that Hustlers gets a couple nominations here, including I think it got a screenplay nomination or
and
it got Best Director nomination. And J-Lo didn't get nominated. The one thing that people are talking about as a potential Oscar nominee, although you're right, she did get nominated for Indie Spirits. You're right.
But in the same sense that you're talking there, how is it that Ari doesn't get nominated?
Yeah.
Visually, okay, sure. I don't think it has any chances at the Oscars, if that's what we're trying to get to. None whatsoever. I believe that a lot of the Oscar voters, or at least a majority of them, they think it's actually a bad script. Like, I've heard multiple people think it's a bad script, and that's
only... Do you think, though, that Jennifer Lopez still has a chance at the Oscars? Like, let's talk maybe about which of the nominees actually do still have a chance at the Oscars.
Jennifer Lopez is going to get in, even though I don't think it's her best performance, but we're supposed to say it is. You think it's her best performance?
In a while that I can remember.
Then we don't give out Oscars for in a while. I still think it is what's her name's to lose? Judy Garland performance.
Renee
Zellweger.
It's Renee's,
she's in the best female lead category.
To me, it's either Renee or Marriage Story.
Scarlett Johansson, yeah.
That's it for me. On the other end, I mean, you know how it is. It's Joaquin v.
Adam
Toulouse. I'm gonna still slip him in there, you know. I'm gonna still slip in the Uncut Gems for Adam Sandler. In terms of screenplay, that's where I think it's gonna get very interesting because there we have a little more wiggle room to play with in terms of adapted and original. And it's about to get crazy. That's going to get crazy because there's no way with all the big names like Once Upon a Time, Irishman, which again, those two, we see them in the same level. Those are two different categories in terms of screenplay. So that's going to be a very interesting deciding factor to see what of the indies is able to slip in there. And so far, it would be crazy to see Shia LaBeouf nominated for Honey Boy. That would be insane to me.
That would be great. I love that.
Maybe Uncut. I want to say maybe Uncut.
Yeah, I feel like Uncut as one of those movies that's probably going to get a lot of hype, but maybe not enough to crack best feature. It could get in for best screenplay at the Oscars.
So that's the way I see it. I think Clemency's thing at the Oscars is going to be a performance.
Performance, Alfred.
Alfred Woodard. Yeah, she's nominated at the Indie Spirits
or the guy.
as well.
I'm blanking on his name. Aldous Hodges. He might be. I think he's under supporting. Farewell. I still think, depending on where it goes on the foreign side, it may get a nomination. Maybe a screenplay. I would love to see a nomination, acting wise.
Yeah, I think for the what's her name, the one who plays the grandma, I think it'd be interesting because if we remember for Roma, obviously Yalitza got nominated, which was a surprise.
But then
also
the wife got nominated.
Marina got nominated.
Marina.
That's insane.
That was out of the blue for a foreign film, so
that would be dope.
Yeah, that would be.
Marriage Story, Uncut Gems. We're not even gonna talk about those. We know those babies are set. They're good. I don't know if anything else stuck out to you guys. Nothing for The Mustang. Nothing for See You Yesterday. I think they've had a good run. Lighthouse.
Willems getting a little bit of traction.
Oh yes, Willems.
Yeah, I don't think Robert Pattinson gets in, and I don't think Lighthouse cracks Best Picture, but Willem Dafoe could potentially crack Best Supporting Actor, which he did for the Indie Spirit Award nominations. We haven't talked much about Best Documentary, but we have mentioned American Factory. We have mentioned Apollo 11. We have mentioned Honeyland, and those three ended up in the Indie Spirit Award nominations. We like all of those movies. So definitely recommend all of them. I'd love to see them get all the way to the Oscars, especially Honeyland is a movie that I'm hoping more and more people catch up with.
Too. Yeah.
Souvenir is not eligible for foreign, correct?
No, it's in English. They said
just making sure. But yeah, documentary I think is also going to be another interesting one because a lot of the ones that we see here aren't some. I mean, there's Midnight Family. Is another option, and I know that one's still doing a good couple of runs. There's a couple of other documentaries that I like, and I haven't caught up on. It's not nominated here, but it wasn't the other one. It might be American Factory that I have the screener for, but I have not seen. What are your hopes in terms of? Because at the beginning of the year, I thought Apollo 11 would have definitely taken it.
Yeah. I sort of rewatched like the first half of it over Thanksgiving because I put it on for my dad because I know he loves that kind of stuff, and I was just like, yeah, this is great for being all archival footage. Yeah. That's great,
right?
Yeah,
there's no script.
This year's really good, and a lot of these are on like streaming, like Netflix, like One Child Nation,
right?
American Factory, even something like Knock Down the House might get, especially in like an election year. Coming up, that might get good.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking about all the great documentaries this year, I don't think these are going to be awards contenders, but I don't think these are necessarily going to be awards contenders. But we had the competing Fire Festival documentaries earlier in the year.
I just saw it, and then you said it.
Yeah. As well as the Amazing Jonathan documentary, one of our favorites.
I personally like that one.
I think got really overlooked earlier this year.
Yeah. I have a question for you because this has happened in the past. One of my favorite documentaries to win was actually a miniseries, OJ Made in America, and that took home a big prize.
I believe they changed the rules so you no longer can be nominated if you're a movie like OJ.
So there goes the Surviving R. Kelly.
Yes, Surviving
if that,
R. Kelly.
If that would have even had a chance. Hail Satan, I know made a list recently. Too, Ask Dr. Ruth, Cold Case, Hammersmith, I Love You Now Die. HBO has a lot of ones that they're sitting in the back. Scorsese has one out. Love Antosha, which I have not seen yet, also sounds pretty good. If you're going to be honest, Homecoming is technically a documentary. Is it eligible?
Right. I believe it is eligible.
So there is. I mean, it's always a good year for documentary. I have not seen Midnight Traveler yet. There's a lot. There's a couple docs that have Midnight in the title, including Midnight Family, which I know you loved. There's Apollo.
There's another one
and
called
Apollo 11.
There's another one called For Sama, which is like set in the Middle East,
which was nominated at the
Independent Awards. It's getting a lot of good hype too. So
we'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I'm gonna say this: the one that I don't think Luce is gonna sneak in there. I would like to see the surprise, Last Black Man in San Francisco. There's always that one movie that comes out of nowhere and just surprises you a little bit when it comes in terms of nominations. That you're just like, you feel really happy for, even if it's not your favorite movie of the bunch, even though you don't care if it wins, you're just like, y'all got tickets to go to the Oscars, and that's special.
Right.
I would love for it to be that movie.
That's the one you're kind of rooting for?
Yeah, like it's not even in like it's like my top 14, but you know I love the way it was shot and just the whole cast and crew around it. It would be really dope for them to just get something, you know? Because we were saying a lot of the other ones, if they get a nomination, I really do feel like they'll be here another year or something else, or that they had a really good campaign. The Last Black Man in San Francisco is one of those where I feel like it's been a bare bones campaign, and like they've earned it.
Totally. Fernando, do you have any movies you're gunning for as we get closer and closer to the Oscar
Honestly,
nominations?
Last Black Man too, because that's in my top 10 currently, and I know it's like super indie, like it's not going to get that big of a push from A24, especially when they have so many other movies competing.
A24 push? What? Never heard of such a thing.
So they probably won't prioritize that, but other than that, maybe like a Honey Boy, because I'd love to see Shia just get something. That'd be cool.
Yeah. We've mentioned Waves. I'd love to see that not be forgotten about. We've mentioned The Farewell. I love The Farewell, and I think it deserves a couple of those types of awards. And, you know, I love my guy Adam Sandler, so it'd be great if he gets an Oscar nomination as well. But, I do think it'd be great to see Midnight Family get some love in some of the documentary categories, because I think it is a really powerful and well-made film that's not really getting a lot of press right now. So either Midnight Family or Honeyland for Best Documentary, I'd be really happy to see.
Agreed.
All right, so that's our awards season update. We'll stay with you through Oscars and check back for more of our updates as we get closer to all those awards. We're going to head into our final segment, the New to See, where we give you our picks for the week. Art, what should the people out there watch?
This is, on record, the most recommendations I've given for a pick of the week. But I'm going to keep it simple to start with. If you leave the house, go see Knives Out. That's it.
I still need to.
Oh, so good.
Even if you see Parasite in theaters, like so you've seen it. Then go see Knives Out. But if you're at home and you got HBO, there's Watchmen. If you're at home and you have Netflix, oh my goodness, Irishman. You can watch all 4 episodes right now streaming on Netflix.
All 4.
Dude, there is a movie
No intermissions.
There's a movie called I Lost My Body on Netflix. It
those are
won.
mine.
Okay, tell me about it.
Cans. I've been told. I got corrected saying cons, and someone said it's cans. Then I said cans, and someone said you idiot, it's cons. And I was like, I cannot with this anymore. So I Lost My Body is a story of a dude. And then I probably say it weird too anyway. So the film festival in France awarded this movie as an animated film. I can't remember what language it's in, but it's on Netflix. It's a hand, and it goes missing, and it's almost a Slumdog Millionaire type flashback story as it's trying to find its body. I Lost My Body. Fantastic documentary. It just really puts you, like when you hear the director talk about how he wanted to direct from the point of view of a hand, he wasn't kidding. He was not kidding. Another one on Netflix as well. I don't know how they did it. The Movies That Made Us. I want to say it's the same group of people who made The Toys That Made Us, also on Netflix. Just watch the Home Alone one. Bro, I was watching this, I was like, why do I like this so much? It literally feels like our Let Me Explain videos with a budget, and they're able to get the people in front of them. But here's what I mean, like, they make fun of the people they get. Like, they just, so-and-so from, what were they in? And it's like the actors. I was like, how do they get away with this stuff? It is fantastic. They have, I want to say it's only 4 episodes. They do it on Dirty Dancing, they do it on Die Hard, they do it on Ghostbusters, and they do it on the first one, which I highly recommend, which is Home Alone. Fantastic breakdowns of these movies. It really gets you invested in it. It's hilariously edited, hilariously narrated, but so much detail when it comes to making a movie, and really by the end of it makes you just see the miracle that is movie making that people tend to forget a lot. It is a miracle to get a movie done, and these are some of the biggest movies out there. Those are my recommendations for the week. A lot to watch. You ain't even got to leave the house. It's getting cold outside.
It is.
Yeah. Fernando, what are your picks for the week?
My pick is also a Netflix movie, so you can stay in. Also was at the Cannes Film Festival. It's a movie called Atlantics that I'm probably going to watch. No, I haven't seen it, but I'm going to watch it.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why it's my pick too. But it's pretty sure it's from France.
Yes, also one.
And it's like, I guess I thought it was like this like drama or like romance movie, but apparently it's like has horror elements too. So I was like, wait, what?
Okay. Oh, whoa.
I don't know. But yeah, it looks really interesting. It's getting a lot of good buzz. Has 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. So if you want something foreign, a little bit different, I'm gonna watch it probably this weekend. So that's my pick.
Sounds good.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm going to go with a couple different ones. If you are in New York, LA, I don't know if this is in some other markets, but by the time this episode is out, Portrait of a Lady on Fire will be out. And I believe that's in Art's Holy Trinity over there as one of the best movies of the year. I'm not as high on it as Art is, but it is a gorgeously filmed and really immaculately told story of these two women who find a likeness in each other in a time when they're not fully allowed to be who they want to be. And, I think there's comparisons made to some other films that are maybe seemingly similar, but I just think there's an intimacy and a specificity to Celine Siakam's movie, or Siyama rather, movie that is so entrancing that I love that there's just some images and some scenes that are burned in your mind. And Art and I have talked about how there are 3 endings to this movie and all of them hit real hard.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know what your favorite ending is. Mine is the second one. I think Art's was the first.
First one, easily. We'll have a discussion for later. But do you have another recommendation?
I do. I will say that we have a Let Us Explain where we talk about Portrait of a Lady in Fire in more detail, so make sure you check that out on the Intercut channel if you haven't already. Another recommendation I have, a simpler recommendation for Netflix if you haven't caught up on The Irishman, as Art suggested. There's a new stand-up special from Seth Meyers that I kind of liked called Lobby Baby.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I think Seth Meyers, through his years now on late night, and he also did years on SNL, has developed a real ease and relaxed kind of wry approach to his stand-up. There's a little bit of a disconnected, like looking at it from a distance way that he approaches his bits, but I find him mostly just a very charming guy, and the way that his bits are just very easy. It's easy listening, it's not necessarily challenging. Yeah. I'm also a fan of whenever people find interesting ways to use the Netflix technology, and about halfway through, there's a skip politics option.
That was him, right?
Where you can just skip over all of the Trump jokes.
So good.
I suggest clicking it even if you're not going to ultimately skip over that bit, because they made a funny
it does
bit
something, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's good.
But it's a good special. It's one of my favorite stand-up specials so far this year. So yeah, I'd recommend that. I'd recommend The Irishman, and I'd recommend Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Didn't you go to the Paris?
Yes, I did go to the Paris theater, and I caught a certain little Netflix movie called Marriage Story there.
See, here's the thing about Marriage Story, is that it's broken the Trinity.
Uh-oh.
It's broken the Trinity, and it is made. I don't even have the other one for right here. After further review, Zach, it has come to my attention that it is in fact. Yeah, I don't even know where to put this. What's the thing from? Here you go. It's a little diamond. Marriage Story is in fact one of the best movies. Ooh. Got these shout out to Andres.
Hey, yeah. I got mine too.
He's got this one. You like that one, right? You see how it's like it's him and he's looking at her? Zach.
It's pretty.
Tell me to flip it.
Flip it. Let's see it.
Now it's her.
Woo.
Oh.
And the shadow of him.
Which side?
In the shadow of him.
Team Scarlet, Team
like
Driver.
this. I'm gonna put it like that. Easily, without a doubt. Let me fix up Portrait right here. I couldn't believe it at first. And again, this is fair because I didn't do this right after. I waited.
Yeah, no, you sat on it.
I'm a man of my word. I made sure I sat on it before I just start, what am I supposed to have over here? Trapezoid? Like, no. An octagon? No. I make sure that it's worth it. I sat on Parasite. It was just that. Then I saw these two. I sat a week with Uncut. I've sat 2 weeks with this movie. This is it right here.
Just wait for 1917.
I've seen 1917. I've seen 1917. So this is almost, unless Cats does something crazy. boys, this is it right here. This is it. Watch Marriage Story.
I did get a chance to see it again, and that is a really, really immaculately written movie, an acted movie. Just like all the little details they put in it, the way that just an offhanded comment comes back to bite them. It's so well done, and it's so pitch perfect. It shows how you don't necessarily have to pick sides, and you kind of end up creating them anyway too. I don't know. I love that movie. The way that it builds a family by kind of tearing it apart.
Yes,
it's
insane. I take it was a great experience at the Paris Theater.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful theater, heart of New York. It's just fun to be in the center of the city, and it's got this gorgeous interior and. It's a great way to see a movie. So if you are in New York, Netflix now owns it, so we'll be seeing some other movies, but I don't know if you'll get much better than seeing Marriage Story
first and foremost, I know we didn't get to mention in the thing, but I would have these two things. One, shout out to Anthony, who had mentioned, I had just met him at the screening for 1917, and he was talking about Marriage Story. He had seen our Let Us Explain, and he said he was so hyped for it after seeing us talk about it. So definitely capture it if you can. Catch it. Capture the experience. The Paris Theater being the Netflix theater, man, you and I have been covering since Cannes, whatever, had said no Netflix movies. You and I went to TIFF. We tried seeing Netflix movies. The theater said no. You got to walk that way to see the movies that the festival is hosting, but the theater doesn't want to. All these different things about Netflix not being cinema. Netflix literally saved a cinema.
Right. We talked about Paris Theater was the last single-screen movie theater in New York City. Wow. It's an institution. I don't know if you saw the tweets from Netflix that Jordan Hoffman co-authored, but the Paris Theater is like an institution. It's been there since I think 1948.
Netflix said we got you.
Yeah, Netflix rescuing it from the dead.
From now on, all Netflix originals, they said. Meanwhile,
Netflix's place in the livelihood of the movie theater industry is obviously debatable, but I find it funny the way that some people are straining to have a negative view on Netflix of all things.
Yeah, this is not the one to have it. What you should be having it is the South Korean civic group that has filed against the Walt Disney Company because Frozen 2 has violated the Antitrust Act by putting 88% of their domestic movie screens to be forced to play Frozen. Wow. Something we had talked about on this own podcast later on, even made the joke, one day Disney's going to get a movie theater. We were told, you idiots, movie theater companies can have their own movie theaters. Mm-hmm. That law is shifting as we speak.
Yeah, these companies, I guess, always are going to find some ways around it. I'm curious to see what the future is.
So with that, the Intercut will be held on Broadway Theater Live.
See, catch it, that's Belasco.
Yeah. Right after your Marriage Story.
But yeah, I don't know if we have any other picks, but I think that's about it. That's
jam-packed episode
all for
today.
This week's show. Jam-packed show, bouncing all over the place. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich. Also, check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/multiplex show. Fernando, where can people catch more from you?
You guys can catch me on Twitter at my handle, which is at BorderLogic. And also writing for the ATZ website. That's www.theatzshow.com. And maybe I might just go to the Paris Theater if they decide to hold a Noah Centennial marathon of Netflix originals, which I think that
it's a good one.
That would be my business proposition to them. Yeah.
All right. Good call there, Fernando. Art, where can people catch more from you?
At the Paris Theater watching the Noah Centennial. And also at the A to Z Show, where you'll be hearing my thoughts on that marathon. Let me explain, all on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and every week here on the Intercut Podcast.
Yes, you can catch every episode of the Intercut Podcast on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on your favorite podcatcher. I like Overcast. And then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intercutpod, where you can catch our bright smiling faces as we break down the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of Intercut every Friday, and please leave us a comment, like the video, consider heading over to iTunes to leave us a 5-star review, like our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. All of them are at Intercut Pod to get updates throughout the week from Art, from Fernando, from me, from all of our guests here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, honey, we have a big fucking problem.